It's important that we come out and talk a little bit about the budget and what is essentially the Wolf-created budget crisis. The governor came in, said he was going to be a different kind of governor. Yeah, I guess if you look at vetoing the entire budget, the first time in 40 years, he is a different kind of governor. He's a type of governor who wants to play politics with our most vulnerable citizens. He wants to play politics with those social service providers, not the state employees, but the home visiting nurses that people rely on daily just to help them to get out of bed, help them to do the daily functions of life, to feed them. There's no need to veto the entire budget and put those citizens and make them pawns in this political process. The governor then had the audacity to tell these service providers that they should just go out and borrow money to pay for these services. It's easy when you live at a place called Mount Wolf to just go out and say you're going to get a line of credit. But when you're sitting around your kitchen table, figuring out what bills you're going to pay this month and what bills you're not going to be able to pay, and then talk to those service providers that are struggling every week to pay their bills, to hire employees, to pay them a salary for the work that they do, and say, just go out and borrow money. We'll reimburse you when the budget's finally passed. When there was no need, 274 line items in this budget, and those budgets for those social services were agreed upon. There was no need to veto them. He's playing politics with the very people, the most important people, the people that Pennsylvanians don't mind paying to provide them with these services. That, to me, is why I'm disappointed in the governor. People say, well, we're disappointed, and that's why. There's no need for this type of rhetoric, this Washington, D.C. style gridlock. What's dysfunctional in Washington is now causing those same problems here in Harrisburg. Another thing that the governor talked about a little bit, and I was happy to hear him talk about it, was property tax relief. That's the biggest issue in our district. I represent Carbon County, the 122nd district, and across the state is property tax relief. Citizens elected me to come out and deliver on property tax relief, not to increase taxes. The governor's tax proposals would increase taxes $12 billion over the first 2 years, and yet less than 33 cents out of every one of those new dollars would go to property tax relief. He's telling people he's going to provide them 50% relief under his plan. He's going to give them $600 a year. If $600 was 50% of your tax bill, I wouldn't have hundreds of people coming out to every town hall we did on property taxes. I don't think he understands the concept. I don't know that he's ever sat around that table and figured out what bills he's going to pay and what bills he's not going to pay. I'm happy to sit down and talk to the governor and work on reasonable solutions, but raising taxes on working families is not the answer. When you look at the governor's severance tax proposal, and I see his ads on TV saying his severance tax is going to go to supplement $1 billion for education, but yet that's not where their severance tax money is going. $600 million of his severance tax proposal, which would not generate that much, as was proven by the IFO, would go to alternative energy grants and subsidizing solar panels. So we're going to tax Pennsylvania consumers on the natural gas that they use. 80% of the natural gas in Carbon County comes from Marcellus Shale. So Carbon County residents are going to see a tax on their natural gas that they use to heat their homes, people that can't afford additional money. And then the governor's going to take that money and buy solar panels, which are made in China, and increase your electric bill by subsidizing solar panels made in China. I don't think that's a proposal for property tax relief. These are some of the issues that I wanted to talk about and that I feel are important to the residents in Carbon County. I think it's time that we sit down at the table and really look at what the governor can and can't get passed. Every member of the House of Representatives, Republicans and Democrats alike, had the opportunity to vote on the governor's budget proposal. It didn't receive one single vote. Not one Democrat voted for the severance tax that the governor proposed. Not one Democrat voted for the personal income tax increases that the governor proposed. Not one Democrat or Republican voted to increase taxes on nursing homes. Not one Democrat or Republican voted to increase taxes on college tuition. So it's time for him to come to the table and realize what you can get and what you can't get. The time to negotiate a June 30th budget deadline is not in August. The time for him to negotiate was April, in May, so that you can meet your constitutional deadline. For 4 years in a row, my colleagues behind us have served in the House, and we have delivered an on-time state budget to the governor's desk by June 30th. We did that again this year, only to have that budget vetoed. And not just the line, not part of the budget, but the entire budget. To veto those basic social services, that was wrong. It's unjustified. And I would call on the governor to move quickly to get those line items that were agreed upon. Let's not argue over the things that we agree upon. Let's settle our disputes over the things that we disagree upon.